One of the things that a lot of startup founders struggle with is having templates to work with, particularly when it comes to legal documents. Now, I'm not suggesting in this video that you ignore the idea of hiring a qualified attorney to work with you on your legal documents. As a matter of fact, I'm strongly suggesting that you hire an attorney to look at any documents that you're going to sign or any documents that you're going to give to someone else to sign. So a lot of people, for example, with non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, they'll pull a template down from the internet and then use it. And sometimes that can actually be an okay way to go about business. But if you've had your attorney either start from that template and make suggestions and changes that are unique to your situation, or you have them, sort of tweak the template itself. So what I'm suggesting is that you need to think about hiring an attorney before you put any of these documents out into the world. The reason a lot of people avoid that is because, well, attorneys can get costly, but it's a place I don't recommend you skim. At the very least, if you use a template, have an attorney start with it as a foundation to maybe save you a few dollars. But today I am going to share with you some templates that you can pull down from the internet that will be helpful. Most of them are legal templates, but the first one we're going to start with, you've probably heard me talk about before, is the business model canvas. This is a one-page document that will show you how to plan out your business from day one. You can see I'm on Strategizer's website right now, and this is where you can download right here. Just enter your information and they will send you a copy of this business model canvas. You may be able to find it other places, but this is where I have pulled it down from in the past. I keep a copy of it, and every time I'm spinning up a new idea, a new startup, a new business, this is one of the places I start. Now, before I talk about it anymore, the other place I start is with my own Southbound Startup Business Planner, and I do it before I do the business model canvas. And the reason is this business model canvas does a great job of calling out distribution channels, marketing tactics, who your clients are going to be, who your investors might be. It asks you a lot of key questions that you need to be thinking about, things that would go into a pitch deck or a business plan down the road. The reason I created my own startup business model planner to go before the business model canvas is because this canvas doesn't ask some of the even higher level questions, like what is your mission? What is the pain point that you're trying to solve in the world? Who is going to be part of your team? Some of those key questions that you really should be asking yourself before you dive headfirst into starting up a business. So after you do that, you'll want to do this business model canvas from Strategizer. You can download it right here. It's a great resource. I recommend saving it to somewhere, your Google Drive or OneNote or any of the cloud-based services, or your computer, and you'll have it for any idea that you think about, but also any startup that you're having. Again, this information that shows up on here, once you download it, the questions that they get you to ask are critical for making you think about the important things in your business model, making sure you're not missing things, asking all the right questions. It's just a great resource. So this is one of the templates I wanted to share with you today. The rest of them are going to be legal document templates that you'll want to think about having. So I'm going to share with you Steve Blank's website. Steve is a well-known entrepreneur in the startup space. He's been around for a really, really long time. I learned about his resources back in 2010 when I was starting my own startup called GoGrabLunch.com. And you can see here, this actually, as I scroll, goes on and on and on. So here's things like how to find a co-founder, job interviewing tools, right? Some of Steve's own tools, like a founder's workbook, a checklist manual, which would be really, really helpful for people who are new to startups or new to starting a business so that they can ask all the right questions. Up here, you can see even more tools. So here's some books, some links, he's gathered an absolute ton of free stuff for the most part that you can go to or download and use and trying to figure out how to get your business started. There's some free tools on me see if I can find it on market research. I think you actually have to click this up here. So one of the questions I get is people say, I want to do some market research, and you should, so that they can be intelligent about how they do things, about their target market, and making sure there's not too many competitors they can't compete with. How do I do that market research? So Steve actually, right here, you can see, now some of these are pay for market research firms. I know for a fact some of them are pretty expensive, like Gartner and Forrester, but like CB Insights is an absolutely phenomenal market research firm, and it's not too expensive. It's I think less than a couple $100 a month. And that may be a lot for you, and I understand, but it's important to do this research. It's important to think about, should I spend that kind of money before I go and spend $25,000 of my own to create a software MVP, or even $10,000 of my own, or $5,000 of my own, saving yourself some money by doing the work on the front end. Remember, I always use other sites that you can do some free research on, like Crunchbase. I've talked about those in the past. So Steve's website is really, really helpful. Just has all kinds of really good information, and I can't find it right now. You should go on here and look for it. But if I remember correctly, see, even Steve is mentioning the business model canvas right here. But I believe he also has links to some free legal documents. But where I'm going to take you for those is to another site called startupbiz.com. Now, just to be transparent, I have not used their information in the past. I found them when I was doing research for this video. But you can see here, they have free templates for your articles of incorporation and your company bylaws. These are two things that go into forming a legal entity for a business. Now, remember, don't rush off and create a company right away. Sometimes the overhead of keeping up a legal entity outside of doing business in your Social Security number can be expensive. So you're going to want to wait a while to do these in some instances, but at least you have these resources here. The other thing that I liked the most about this Startup Biz website is some templates for joint venture agreements, letters of intent. So clients who say they love what you're doing and they'd be willing to buy it from you when it is available in the marketplace. Letters of intent can help add value to discussions with investors to show that there are clients who are actually, they're not just saying that they like what you're doing, they've signed a letter of intent saying they'll buy it when it's ready. Licensing agreements. And then here's a template for those of you who may not have one, a mutual non-disclosure agreement. And all kinds of other stuff. Look, here we go. They're talking about the business model canvas too. They've got a step-by-step guide to a business plan. Don't write a business plan right away. Wait till later in your startup. If you do anything, do my business model planner, then do the business model canvas, and then start thinking about building out a pitch deck. Here's some information on raising money, what a convertible note, due diligence checklist, what a term sheet is. So I'm probably going to go through some of these individually in the future for you, since I just found this website. Bill of sale. I mean, there's just lots of great stuff in here, some HR things, right? That, if you had to create all of these yourself from ground up with an attorney's help, would get really expensive. But again, you can take something like this, mark out the pieces of it that you don't need, and have an attorney start with it, and it'll at least give them some foundational work to sort of keep your bill down. So I really, really like this resource. I think you should come in here and peruse around a little bit if it's something that you're looking for. It'd be really, really helpful. Now, I skipped over their funding documents because I actually want to share with you the Y Combinator self-financing documents. So Y Combinator, if you don't know, is one of the most popular accelerators in the United States and probably in the world. They've had a lot of success in breeding startups, successful startups, lots of exits and things like that. And what they did was they created, they were sort of the pioneer of what's called a SAFE funding round. So SAFE stands for Simple Agreement for Future Equity. And it's essentially like a convertible note, which means, well, find my video for that as well. But just know that it's a funding mechanism that is usually used in pre-revenue startups when trying to determine a valuation is very difficult. A SAFE agreement can help you sort of bring on investors and say, right now, we're not going to set a true valuation. I know some of these have valuation words in them, but for the most part, it says we're not really going to peg an exact valuation. We're just going to say down the road, we're going to agree on what the valuation will be, and then that will determine the equity somebody gets. So now I will say there are people out there in the startup community who are saying SAFE agreements are not good for entrepreneurs. Again, any of this stuff I'm sharing with you, you should talk over with a professional and get their take on it. But SAFE agreements can be a good way If you're not sure, you're in a pre-revenue startup, if you're not sure how to value your company, you're not sure what equity you should give an investor in exchange for the money they're wanting to give you, a safe agreement can help you sort of set some terms around that financing round and let you move on and deal with it at a later date when it's easier, when you have some milestones that can help you value the company. The reason Y Combinator created this is because in the traditional days of startup financing, if you were to rush off and do an agreement in pre-revenue startups with an investor, a set of legal documents could again cost you $25,000, $50,000. So they created these and put them out here for people to download and use at their discretion. You'll also see off to the right, here's a Series A term sheet. So if you're past your seed round of funding, here's a term sheet template that you could use carefully if you're going to raise a Series A round. So I hope that those resources really help you and provide you at least a foundation to get rolling. A lot of the entrepreneurs and startups that I'm talking to, they're just saying, I'm not even sure where to get started. Some of the places, some of the questions come around just the model itself. That business model canvas should really, really help you. If you can answer the questions on that sheet, then you're off to a good start. Then after that, thinking about financing rounds, incorporating down the road, all these other things, using a template, even if you take that template and take it to your attorney and say, I want to do something just like this, should help keep your costs down. I know that's the reason the SAFE agreements were actually created, was to keep the financing costs down of a pre-revenue startup. So I hope that information helps you. If you have any questions, please put it in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe so you can get notified when I release new videos like this. And I hope you have a great day.